Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin, and for today's video we are going to be doing my February wrap-up of all the books I read this previous month. I read a total of 5 books, and unfortunately I don't have any physical copies of the books that I read. 2 of the books were library books, and then all the other books were on my Kindle from Kindle Unlimited. So I'll show the covers of the Kindle Unlimited books, but every book I'll just have a picture on the corner so you know what book I'm talking about, and that way we can keep track that way. But before we jump into today's video, if you have not already, please make sure to like this video and to subscribe to my YouTube channel and to leave a comment of your favorite book that you read this previous month in February. So the first book I read in February was Redemptor by Jordan Fueko, and this is the finale and sequel to Ray Bear by Jordan Fueko. And I'm not going to talk too much about it because if you haven't read Ray Bear, I don't want to spoil anything from Ray Bear and Redemptor, but I really valued this book so much. Like, as you know, Ray Bear has a special place in my heart. I really connected with our main character Tar and kind of how she became such a strong individual throughout the story. She went from having no friends, no family, feeling so alone, feeling like, you know, what is her purpose here, to now having so much around her, so many relationships that were being built, finding her purpose. And in Redemptor specifically, I really love the direction that Jordan Fueko took this book. I did not expect it to take this more personal and reflective journey that Tar went through. I thought it was going to be way more, you know, of a quest to a specific place that she's going to after the ending of Ray Bear. But no, it was a lot more about her mental health, a lot more about what it means to be a change maker, what it means to have a purpose in this life, and not that be a means to an end, as she saw somebody else who had a similar purpose as her, how their life panned out. And just by looking at his life, she was able to look a little bit more in her life and be like, okay, maybe this is not the way I want my life to go. Maybe there's another way for me to live my life. So I really enjoyed this book. I thought that it was so well done, so much beautifully written. Again, it's absolutely just rich in Western African culture, and it's a YA fantasy, so we have a lot of those fantasy elements played into it, and you just get so immersed into the story. The storytelling is amazing, the world building is fantastic. My only qualm with this book was, and it was the same qualm I had with Ray Bear, I just wish that we had a little bit more time with these characters. We got to see more insights into Tar's relationship with like other council members that she had, like Deo and Jeet, but I just wish that we had a little bit more. And I feel like these books are so short, like they're only a little bit over 300 pages, and I feel like I just needed more from the story. Like I wasn't ready to give up Tar, I wasn't ready for her journey to come to an end, but I think Redemptor was an amazing follow-up to Ray Bear, and I couldn't have asked for a better story. I gave Redemptor 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read, I'm not going to talk about it too much because the author is being accused of plagiarism and a lot of other messed up stuff, and I do not love her books that much to defend her and to really talk about her anymore. I don't plan on reading any more of her works, but I did read this book and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it, but again, I'm not going to talk about it too much because the author is just a problem. So we're done with that. The next book I read was It Happened One Summer by Miss Tessa Bailey, and I was so excited to read this book because I'd literally seen it all over TikTok, and I'd seen it so much on Bookstagram, and everybody was saying it's such a cute rom-com, this, that, and a third. This book, I had a lot of issues with it. And I just knew deep down I wasn't gonna like it. I just knew deep down I could not. The TikTok girlies, they fail me more than they impress me, okay? So It Happened One Summer is a rom-com. It's a Schitt's Creek inspired rom-com. I've never watched Schitt's Creek, but I do know Cowbells, the Disney original movie, and this book is literally the plot of Cowbells. So take that with what you will. This story follows our main character, Piper. She is super famous. She's an influencer. She's the ditzy blonde. You know, she doesn't have a sense of realism to herself. She's not grounded. She's not humble. You know. And something happens. She throws a party. The party gets out of hand. She ends up in jail. Then obviously, because she's rich and privileged, she gets, you know, bailed out of jail. And then her stepdad is like, you need to go back home where her original dad, her biological father, you need to go back home to where he was or where you were born, and you need to go connect back with your roots. So then she goes to this place. I don't know where it is. I don't know what it's called, but she goes to this place. I think it's the Deli Ray. I don't know. But she goes to this place, and that's where she meets our male love interest, Brendan, and they start to form a connection with each other, and the story takes you along that. It is not that good. I did not like this one. I did not like this one. I did not like this one. And my beef, I loved Piper. Piper was amazing. Piper deserved so much better than Brendan. Brendan was the epitome of an incel. Like, how I described him is that he is a possessive alpha male who probably owns one of those podcasts. Like, he is borderline misogynistic. Like, he is so selfish and just so unattractive. Nothing about him was attractive. This was my first Tessa Bailey book, and it's probably going to be my last. I do want to read the follow-up story with Hannah and Fox because I loved Hannah, and Fox was not as unbearable as Brendan, but I don't know if I can stomach the writing again. A lot of people talked about the spice and the smut in this book, and there is a lot of that, and it was not good. It was very cringy. It was very impersonal. It was just very, like, my eyes are burning as I'm reading this. And, like, I read a lot of smut. I read a lot of spice, but this one was just not clicking. Every time Brendan opened his mouth, it was just a turn off for me. Maybe if he didn't speak as much during the scenes, I probably would have liked it a little bit more. But no, I just didn't like the story that much. It just didn't work for me. I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. The 2 stars are for Piper and Hannah because they carried the story. Piper deserved much better than Brendan, but I'm done talking about that one. So the last 2 books that I read, they are part of the Devil's Night series by Penelope Douglas, and I'm getting so smiley because I am obsessed with this series. It's a dark romance, and it's like not my first intro to dark romance because I read one last year and it was just awful. And I think I've read other dark romances. But anyways, it's a dark romance and it's so freaking fantastic. And if you don't know, the Devil's Night series, it follows the 4 horsemen is what they call themselves. And every year before, the day before Halloween in October, they kind of just go crazy on town and they just do a bunch of pranks and they record all of them. But one Devil's Night, the camera where they could record all these pranks and stuff, it got leaked and 3 out of the 4 of them got arrested. And now it's where the first book in the series starts, Corrupt. Now they're back from jail and they are coming to kind of terrorize the girl who they believed leaked the footage on the Devil's Night that sent 3 out of the 4 of them to prison. And each book follows a different horseman and their love interest, and it's just so freaking good. Like, I was not expecting it to be this good. So Corrupt, again, follows our main characters, Michael and Erica. It starts off, like I said, they come back from prison and they're going to basically terrorize Erica because they believe that she was the one that leaked the footage. The love story itself focuses on Michael and Erica, and Michael's kind of like the ringleader of the 4 horsemen. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. This book was so exciting. It was so enticing. I was so like, oh my god, what are they about to do to this girl? Like, what is going on? I will say though, like, this book is not for the weak-hearted. This book is not for somebody who is going to nitpick every small thing. The thing is with me and Penelope Douglas, I have to trust her. Like, we have a very trusting relationship. Even though I'll be reading the book and I'm like, I don't know where you're going with this. I don't know how I feel about this. I trust her enough to where the book ends, things are going to come full circle and I'm going to be like, I get it, Penelope. And this is exactly the same thing that happened. I fell in love with Michael. I'm not going to lie to you. But now that I'm like reading more of the other books by the with the other guys, Michael is like, he's like dropping in the ranks. He's really dropping in the ranks. But he's like an asshole. He's so mean. But it's his relationship with Erica. I'm just like, oh, I like it. Like, y'all are so toxic for each other. You're so terrible for each other. And outside of these books, I probably wouldn't even root for you guys to be together. But for the sake of the romance, I have no choice. Erica is just a complete badass. But she's also like so privileged, but she's aware of how privileged she is. And that's for the whole books. All of these boys, this is like a white boy privilege series. And if you don't like that, don't read it, because the things that they get away with, the things that they just say and how their mind works and how they think, you're just like, what? But it works. It works for the sake of the story. So that was the first one I read. I read Corrupt, gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And then the second one that I read was Hideaway, and that follows Kai and Banks. So Kai, out of the 4 horsemen, he's a little bit more on the quiet side. He's more mysterious. We don't really know much more about him. And after finishing Hideaway, I feel like I still don't know much about Kai. I still feel like he's still just as mysterious. But Banks Banks is that girl. Banks is probably my favorite girl so far. Like, she is absolutely incredible. I love her strength. I love who she is. I just love the way she presents herself. I love the way she doesn't back down from a fight. She doesn't just fall down just because somebody says something to her. Like, she actually is that bitch. And there's a scene, I don't want to spoil it, but there's a specific scene between her and Erica, and I was just like, okay, Banks, you are my bestie. But I really just loved this story. Hideaway had so much more twists and turns. I was like, my mouth was dropped so many times during this book, specifically chapter 16. If you know, you know. I think at that point I was like, okay, this is actually going to be a lot darker than I thought. Hideaway makes Corrupt look like a rom-com. I mean, we are dealing with some heavy stuff. Absolutely loved Kai. I will say though, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I will say a lot of people, when they were talking about Hideaway, they mentioned how it felt like it was a setup for Damon's book. The Kill Switch was the next book in the series, and I have to agree. I didn't want it to be that way, but when you really, because the thing is with these stories, it is a series. However, each book is a standalone romance, but there's an underlying plot that you will not understand if you do not read it in the order that it's meant to be read in. And I feel like that underlying plot kind of took away from the romance between Kai and Banks. We still got some really cool scenes with them. We still got to see the romance flourish. It's not like it took a backseat, but I definitely felt like the focus was a little bit off from them a lot of times. And even the epilogue in Hideaway, I was like, it's not even... Like, I really feel like this is setting up Damon's book. And after reading Damon's book, it was 100% setting up Damon's book, which is fine because, you gotta move the plot along or whatever, but I felt like we should have had a little bit more intimate scenes, a little bit more time with just Kai and Banks, specifically getting to know Kai even more, because while it is romance between the male character and the female characters, and you have dual point of views, you have past and present tense in their dual point of views, I still feel like the men in the story, the 4 horsemen, like, they are the main characters. And I also love, I'm just going on and on about the series, I also just love how connected all of them are. I love reading about their friendships. I love reading about how close they were. I love getting the little sneak peeks we get, a little bit more insight into who these men are. I think it's just super cool. And again, I trust Penelope. I believe that she is just doing such a good job with this series, and it's already over. But I'm like making my way through it. And I said I have read Kill Switch. I have Will's book is the last full like physical book I have left to read, and then I have the 2 novellas, and I'm gonna be done with Devil's Night. So I'm kind of sad, but I'm going to make an entire video on Devil's Night with spoilers and everything once I'm completely done. And if you want to read it, it's all on Kindle Unlimited because that's where I've been reading it. So yeah, it's all on Kindle Unlimited, and I've read those 3, and then I have 2 more left to read, and then I'm gonna be completely done. That is that, and that is honestly it for this monthly wrap up. I didn't read as many books as I read last month in January. I only read 5. In January I read 8, but that's completely fine with me. I'm just enjoying my time. But Goodreads is on my butt. It's like, you are 3 books behind, and I'm like, shut up, leave me alone. Anyways, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoy this video. It's a little bit shorter than my normal videos, but that's okay. Y'all know I talk way too much anyways. If you haven't already, please make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And please let me know what your favorite book of February was in the comments down below. And I will see you guys in a later video next week. Bye!